The number one question I get asked all of the time is, how do I make videos like this? And also like this.
You can dance, you can jive.
Well, friends, today is the day that I show you how I make my videos. Hello friends, welcome back. I've decided I want to try and get into making more videos like this. I had high hopes for 2022. I had dreams and goals, and then I got really busy. But I'm here now, and we're going to do the thing. Surprisingly, there's not a lot out there on how to make these sort of harmony building videos. I say harmony building like that, it's literally just live looping, but the cool kids on TikTok had to name it something different, so now we're rolling with it. I'm too old for TikTok, clearly. I'm going to split this video into two sections. So we're going to start with the harmony building / live looping stuff up the front. Then we're going to get a bit more complex at the back half with how I make my box style / split screen a cappella videos. The next big question I get all of the time, Alex, what do I need to make these videos? You will probably need the same tools for both styles, which includes a way to record your singing. This could be a combo of a microphone and interface. You might just have a USB microphone. There are many ways to do this, but some form of microphone. I use a Shure SM7B microphone and a Behringer Euphoria interface, but before I upgraded, I just used my trusty old Shure SM58 mic. I'd also like to point out, some people get really carried away with needing to have a big, expensive microphone to do the job. You just don't. You just need a way to capture your singing. Seriously, 9 times out of 10, people really aren't going to care whether you made it with a toaster or a $2,000 microphone. So don't feel like you have to go and buy the latest and greatest thing. You're also going to need a way to film yourself singing. You could use your phone or camera or webcam, but keep in mind for harmony building, you'll probably be filming and singing at the same time, so you probably won't be able to use the same device for both. You'll also need a way to edit it all together. You're going to need some programs to help you do this for both audio and video. I use a combo of Logic Pro for audio and then Adobe Premiere Pro for visuals. So let's get stuck into harmony building. There are so many ways that you could do this. Literally, the limit does not exist.
The limit does not exist.
You could use a loop station and sing live and film that and capture the audio from either just the camera or your loop station plugged into a box. You could do what I do and use both a microphone and a camera so that you can sync it together and have better control over the editing process. You could literally just sing directly into your laptop and film yourself doing that and going back and layering it up each time. There's so many TikTokers that do this as well. It's really up to you. If live looping scares you and you just want to do something to give it a go, you could just record each part and then layer it up. It's not quite the same, but the list goes on. I get lots of questions asking, is there a phone app to do this? To my knowledge, no, there is not. I know, I'm sorry. There's lots of live looping apps out there, but they do often have a lot of latency and lag, but you're still going to need a second device to film yourself while you're doing it anyway, so that kind of defeats the purpose of having one central app that does the whole thing. I've seen plenty of people on TikTok that have done some of my harmony challenges just by recording into BandLab, the app, or even GarageBand. And they record all the layers, but just screen record each layer coming in at different times. So it's not necessarily them on screen, but you're hearing them sing all of the parts. It's not quite the same as having your face on screen, but it literally depends on how you want it to look. There are no rules. Also, it's social media. You don't have to take it so seriously. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, Alex, that sounds great, but how do I actually come up with what I'm singing? That could be a whole other video in itself. So I won't go too in depth of how I arrange things. But if you want to see that, let me know. But in a nutshell, for me, I usually go about it in two ways. If I know the song pretty well, I'll often just improvise an arrangement. I might roughly map out the chord structure and then allocate different intervals of the chords to a voice part. But if I know it well, I can usually just roughly sing it to myself a few times and go from there. I'm very lucky in that I have a really good ear for this sort of thing. It's literally my job to do this, professionally, so I'm pretty speedy. If I don't know the song very well, which honestly is most of the songs I sing on TikTok, I'll do a really quick transcription / notation of what I'm going to sing. I use Sibelius for all of my notation. It's what I trained on. I love it, but there's plenty of other options out there like Finale or MuseScore and so on. When I do it this way, I usually start by transcribing the melody line. Then I'll copy it across to the bass parts and put all of that in, and then fill in the gaps with some harmonies. I'm not going to give away all of my secrets because then you'd all copy me. and you'd all be so good at making harmonies and making your own beautiful things that you wouldn't listen to me anymore, and that would make me sad. But I love a good pedal note in the arrangement to give it a bit of depth. Add some spice, you know? So once I know what I'm singing and how it's going to go, then I head over and start recording. I like to do a few tests first just to make sure I'm singing it right and I get through the whole thing. Then I'll give it a go singing and filming at the same time, which yes, takes many goes to get it right. Sometimes I do use my loop station to film these and just have it out of frame so you can't see it, but that's how I'm triggering the loops. And then I'll chain my loop station directly to my interface so that it's capturing the audio directly from the station and it's not just from the camera. Logic does have a really cool live loops function that looks a bit like this. You do need like a MIDI controller though to use it. The way I do things usually if I've transcribed out the arrangement is I will bring the MIDI file over into Logic and create a piano track of the arrangement so that I can hear that while I'm recording with a metronome. That keeps me at time in the right key, and then I can kind of know, okay, I've done this part, I'm moving on to this part. I'll then record the whole arrangement in one take. I know. And then come back and chop up each harmony so that it's on its own track in Logic so that then I can EQ it or pan it or put reverb on it, that sort of thing. So it means you're singing the whole thing live in one go and you're not necessarily hearing the arrangement build up around you unless you put that in your piano track. But then you can control how it sounds overall a bit better. It's a lot more work doing it this way, but it's how I prefer to do it. It means that I can get a great sound out of it. I'm a pretty terrible mixer. I studied music production at uni. I did classes in it, but I just have not retained a lot of that knowledge. And I just also don't really enjoy it. So I'm very lazy with how I mix things. I'll literally chuck like a tiny bit of EQ, a little bit of reverb, maybe a de-esser. That's pretty well it. Oh, and panning, but like that's it. So that's the audio side of it. Let's talk the filming side. I go between using my iPhone's front camera and my DSLR to film, but lately I've been using mainly my DSLR just because it looks nicer. I also use a ring light to try and get a nice light on my face, but this totally is not a crucial step. Honestly, if you've got a big window with natural light that you can use, just do that. I often do this too because I'm lazy. And then a little AVDB trademark I've been doing is I like to match the backdrop to the color of my hair because I'm always changing the color of my hair. You don't have to do this, but I just like it. I just use cheap fabric from the fabric store. It's a bit nicer than a plain wall. I literally tape this with masking tape to the wall. I do not have fancy gear. We are truly DIY here, baby. But I have the piano track and the click track in my headphones, and it's just a matter of counting down and just doing it. When it comes to syncing it all together, once I've mixed the audio to be how I want it, I will bounce that out, drag both the audio and the video into Premiere Pro, and then sync it together so it starts at the same time and you can edit this however you like. You could add the text in when you're editing on your computer, but I just like to do it in TikTok or Instagram so then it keeps the feel of the app. It's a lot of work. And there's definitely ways that you could shortcut that or make it a bit easier, but that's just how I like to approach harmony building. So now let's talk the box style videos that I do for my arrangements. These take a little bit more work. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. I've been lucky enough to create some really cool videos for different a cappella projects over the years. So I've learned a few things or two in my time as a video editor. This is definitely a process that is best done by recording the audio and video separately. Whether you're doing an arrangement by yourself or with a group, it's just so much easier if you separate the two processes. I won't go into too much detail on how to best record your audio because I feel like that's entirely a different video. Also, not my area of expertise. But if you're stuck for ideas, I would highly recommend checking out the Recording a Cappella YouTube channel. That has some great resources. But also, have a look on YouTube. There's plenty of stuff out there. But basically, you record your audio part with headphones on and you might be listening to either the demo or a MIDI version of the arrangement to keep you in time and in tune. You can then mix this however you like. As I said before, I keep it really basic because I don't have a lot of knowledge for this sort of thing. Light EQ, de-esser, maybe a little bit of compression, reverb and panning, but you could go full tilt if you wanted to. It just depends on what you want it to sound like. Once you've got your audio how you like it, I would recommend bouncing two versions. One that is exactly how it's mixed and how you want people to hear it, and then another version that has a metronome so that you can play this while you're filming. Trust me, it'll make it a lot easier when it comes to editing it and syncing it all together. I almost always use my DSLR camera to film these as well as my ring light just to make the video quality a lot crisper. I make sure I frame myself in the center of the shot with plenty of room around me according to how I might like to crop everything in. Once it's looking how I like, then it's just a matter of filming myself singing every part of the arrangement, which, depending on how long it is, that can take a hot minute. Once that's done, I throw all of the footage into Premiere Pro, where I start by syncing it and then layering up each take or part on top of each other so that they're all in time, but you can see on the timeline the different voice parts in the arrangement. When it comes to actually deciding how it's going to look and where the boxes appear on the video, I've done a lot of work prior and I have a few tricks up my sleeve. A few years ago, I made myself a heap of transparent overlays in Photoshop that were different grids so that I can just put that on top of the footage and then crop each video into each box. And then it looks exactly how I want it to look. This is a great way to put everything in place for a really quick arrangement that you're doing on social media. If I'm doing a big, long arrangement, maybe for YouTube, or I'm working on a project for somebody else, I use custom built templates that I built inside Premiere Pro, where I can just drag the footage into the boxes, in the effects panel, and it maps it out for me. This is quite a tedious process though, so don't feel like you have to do this. But there's also plenty of great templates that you can just download that are out there. I think Premiere Gal has a whole bunch that are great and they're really cheap too. But yeah, pretty straightforward. Once you've synced it and edited it how you like, you just bounce it out into whatever formats you want and then post it wherever you want. So there you have it. That is how I make all of my harmony videos for TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, social media. I put a lot of work into it, but it's also because I want everything to be smooth and profesh looking. This will probably seem like it's a lot, and you might get a bit overwhelmed the first few times that you try doing this sort of thing. But trust me, the more you do it, the easier it gets. I promise once you've done it as much as I have, it will just become second nature to you. If you have any questions at all, let me know below. Happy to help. And if there's anything else you want me to cover in a bit more detail too, let me know. Let's see what we can do. Good luck on your harmony building journey, friends. Tag me in anything you make if this has helped you. I'd love to see what you come up with. As for the next video, I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm kind of enjoying doing YouTube. So let's see what happens. I will see you in the next video, friends.